This is Dance Studio 411, where we answer your real-life questions about your toughest studio life predicaments. Parent problems, teacher turnover, student challenges, policy dilemmas, and so much more. Let's talk about what's keeping you awake at night and what you can do about it. Here are your hosts, Suzanne Blake Garrity and Jill Tyrone.
Welcome to today's podcast. In this episode, we are joined by Kathy Blake as she teaches an empowering episode on the topic that seems to be everywhere in dance, drama. We know there's a normal amount of emotion we can expect from our students, parents, and faculty. However, there are times when real drama starts to tear down the overall culture of your studio. In this podcast, Kathy will share a few guidelines to help you effectively solve problems when it comes to anything from bullying to gossip or threats from dancers or parents. She will share how to set some professional and personal boundaries, when to draw the line, how to hold people accountable, and really get at those behaviors that threaten the peace and culture of your dance studio. She goes through the 4 C's that help you create your culture, capture the toxic behavior, confront the issue, and clear the air. And we are really happy to have you today, Kathy.
First of all, the title, Drama-Free Dance Studio, Fact or Fiction? Let's answer that question. It is fiction that we can have a drama-free dance studio. The world and life itself is a drama unfolding day to day. We give Academy Awards, Emmy Awards. We award all kinds of prizes, both in the dance competitive world, in theater, and in film, for best drama, best dramatic presentations. So drama in and of itself is not a bad thing. As a matter of fact, we want good drama to portray the many experiences and emotions of living. And the problem that we have is that we tend to have negativized the word. We are always saying, oh, there's so much drama. I have a mom who always sat in her car. She couldn't bear to come into the studio because there was so much drama in the studio. And actually, there was no drama when she wasn't there. There was only drama when she arrived. But she felt that she wasn't the carrier of the drama, but the subject to it. So here's the problem. We have to, as studio owners and teachers, be aware of when there is negative drama that is in any way affecting our culture in a deteriorating way, hurting people, hurting programs, and hurting the basic feel of your studio, and that is against any of your policies. So drama is real. When you're dealing with teenagers and adolescents, everything is exaggerated. Everything is felt in terms of intensity that maybe isn't even there. But we still have to deal with the emotions and feelings of sensitive parents, sensitive students, and the fact that we are in an industry that awards and rewards the presentation of dramatic performances. So let's take a look through these notes and see where we can get empowered to develop some skills so that when we come up against anything that we perceive as negative drama, we can be effective with it. So the wonderful quote by Joyce Meyer, who's a very popular female pastor, said, "Watch out for joy stealers, gossip, criticism, complaining, fault-finding, and a negative judgmental attitude." Well, a lot of times we are not privy to the conversations that are held in our parking lot, in private chat rooms, in the waiting room. We can kind of sense something's off or wrong, but we aren't always able. We sometimes are the last to know when something's really going wrong. But I would say this, I have been myself overly dramatic or concerned or made a big deal about things that really should have been dealt with in a little more direct fashion. I have to deal with drama amongst my staff, member to member, drama amongst the parents, drama amongst the kids, drama in the basic environment in which we live, which is 5 different dance studios, all in our neighborhood. Half of the directors used to work for us. So drama is, as it's defined, as a state, situation, or series of events involving interesting or intense conflict of forces, a serious tone or subject. So when conflict, let's use that word conflict, when there appears to be something that's negative, a conflict, a contention, someone saying something bad about someone, someone dissing on someone, someone having a way of being about them that's critical, hypercritical, hyperjudgmental, I feel the only real skill is to directly confront it in a very private and respectful manner. And the emotions that we all have, especially when attached to our children, can be really unrealistic. So let's just step back for a minute and think. Emotion is a conscious mental reaction such as anger, fear, or joy experienced as a strong feeling directed toward a specific object, which is usually you, the director, and typically accompanied by psychological and behavioral changes in the body. We feel it as heat, fear. We dread coming into the studio. There were times when I actually dreaded coming to work because of the dramas going on and my powerlessness, it seemed at the time, to do anything about it. People think because we're in positions of leadership and that we sometimes appear to be very powerful leaders, that we enjoy holding people accountable or dealing with conflict. I would say it tends to be just the opposite. Most dancers and studio owners are full of love for their students, for the passion for dance. They want everybody to come into their studio and be happy. And it actually runs counter to our natures to have to deal with conflict and upsets. Sometimes I get so upset by the upsets that I say, why did I ever think that I would like doing this? Here's the problem. Where there are people, there are problems, and there are going to be conflicts of personality. I would say, let's go to this first question. What can we expect from people as predictable behavior? Well, most people will be secretive about their upsets. They will be covert about it. Very few people are going to send you just a straight out email and complain to you. Now, you will get that from time to time, but when it comes to real negative drama, it tends to go underground. It tends to be something people are keeping quiet because they know basically that their comments are detrimental to some one person, or at least to a criticism of the studio directors or teachers or programs, such that they really don't want to be found out. But they have a sense of being powerful about it. So there are undesirable behaviors that are just going to happen no matter what you do. And you have to understand that there'll be a certain amount of distortion and disagreement and criticism about everything that anyone in a leadership position does, even if they're telling you to their face that they love you. So you have to be able to notice your intuitive, it's what we call the gut. When you have a gut feeling that something is off, like I have someone right now that I really have to have a conversation with, and I've been hoping that the situation resolves itself without my having to interfere. And we have to question, when is it right to interfere? When do I choose to hold someone accountable? What kind of circumstances are going to make me know that now is the time to act before something really bad happens? So here we are, where there's a situation that we sense is off. Well, we try within the faculty and staff, I tried very hard to create a culture where we bring out positive thoughts. I publish things in our faculty updates about success tips. Let's go to the way we do the culture of our studio to start with, so that if we can all understand that if we are not constantly creating the culture that we want, the atmosphere, the climate, it's called a climate. There's a climate to your studio. You walk in and there's a sense of joy and expectation, and there's excitement going on. I mean, last night I was in the studio doing costume fitting, and I walked through the ballet class, and it was just full of beautiful students practicing their craft and full of passion and enthusiasm. The kids were so excited about their costumes, and we had a few, exchanges needed to be done. Everybody was in a really wonderful mood. I got in my car and I said, okay, this is so great. This is how I want it to feel all the time. Right. And this morning I woke up with a nagging feeling that I need to have a difficult conversation that I really don't want to have. And just because a lot of things are right doesn't mean that we as directors can step over the few little issues that might be nagging at us, keeping us up, waking us up, feeling unresolved to us. So let's look at like a 90-10 rule. What if 90% of everything is going wonderfully and you've created a culture where people are being respectful and they're coming to you and following your protocol, to doing proper kinds of complaining, that you're available to them, you're dealing with their issues privately. So you have a culture of respect and positivity. It doesn't mean that 10% of what you're sensing isn't quite right should be avoided. We can't really settle for that. If we as leaders know something isn't being addressed that has some kind of negative impact, then it's really our job to go after that. So when we had our welcome for our dance teams, there's a tremendous amount of competition just even amongst the kids and amongst the different teams, and this is natural. They all want to excel. They all want to be the best. And then you have the upsets about that two people that are best friends, one got on the more advanced team and the other one was held back in the basic team. And there's a lot of jealousy amongst the kids. There's a lot of healthy competition, and then there's sometimes a lot of envy and misunderstanding about they feel they work just as hard. So one must be sensitive to feelings that are natural. All of those things are natural. However, if suddenly you find out that there's a few kids that are having a private text message group that are dissing on this one other kid that made it to the more advanced team, and now they're breaking the rules that you have in place in the guidelines of your competition team or in your studio that says that, we don't have to like our team members, but we have to respect them, that any student found saying or doing anything that reflects bad upon any one of their team members or anyone in the studio, they will be held accountable. So here's the thing. We have to know what's normal in order to know what's really breaking the rules about that. Right. So I have the 3 C's. So you have to create your culture. And that's the assumption that you know what your culture is. The assumption is that you have a mission statement, that you have policies and procedures, that you have contracts with your employees, that you have agreements and contracts with your competitive team. The assumption is that you actually can go and identify in writing what defines your studio culture. That is, I can't have any conversation about this subject of drama if we do not know that we have actually created our culture. So if anyone needs to back up and do that, or have an actual file that has a code of ethics, a mission statement, policies and agreements, a handbook, all of the things that you say you have as expected behavior from your staff, from your parents, and from your students, that has to be in place. That's number one, most important thing. That the culture of our studio has to be not only felt by everyone there, but it has to be identifiable in an actual document or multiple documents. It really is important. Now, we have our culture. Now we have to find ways to capture anything that may be a toxic behavior such that we can now hold someone accountable. So in our studio, we have what's called a purple form, which is where anyone who is a teacher notices that something is off. It says to create a system to address any reported behavior that violates your code of ethics and have a policy in place that gives you the ability to hold these negative people accountable. So I say it always has to be face-to-face by a requested conference. So always a private conference. I never address things through emails or phone calls other than to say, Mrs. Smith, something has come to my attention that I feel needs to be talked about privately and in person. When would be the soonest time we could meet? And that kind of thing, because it isn't something that you want to deal with casually. So first you have to get in writing what you feel is the issue. So 2 years ago, we had a group that had this private text, and they were then each given a way that they had to contact their parents. The students were told, each of them, that they had to contact their parent, and that parent had to call me, that I knew who was on the private group that was saying negative things about another team member. And then I heard from the parents and the students had to write an apology letter, both to me and to the student in question, and nothing was ever done publicly. It was all done in such a way that none of the students were publicly shamed, none of the students were publicly held accountable. There is a very important part of squelching negative drama is that you cannot cause drama publicly about any drama you might be addressing that you feel is toxic in your studio. So what has to happen is a tremendous sense of respect for the fact that really nice people and really great kids sometimes say and do not very nice things. I'm going to say that again. Really great kids and really great parents sometimes say or do things that are against your culture and are not very nice. Now, I'm not one to judge who is a good parent or a bad parent. We all have parents who are a little more of a full-time job than others. We all have, like you say, Suzanne, all the time, do I have a parent with a problem or do I have a problem parent? This is not that seminar either. That may be something you would have to
Future
address
topic, right?
at another. I think we have things on the website about that. So at any rate, let's go back to the 3 C's. We have to create the culture. So we have to create and really be aware of our culture. Then we have to be able to confront any issue through any kind of an honest reporting system that never publicly humiliates a staff member, a student, or a parent, but always is dealt with in a kind and sensitive way, assuming that good people have made a bad decision or are not aware of the toxic nature or your perception of the toxic nature of their behavior. And then we have to be able to capture all of that and confront it. So the confrontation, the final thing. And then really what we're doing at the very end is in the confrontation, we don't want to experience it as confrontation or a fight, so to speak, against something that's coming against us, but more a desire to understand and share how it is against the culture of your studio that you feel it is detrimental to some of the people involved and how you would like to have it resolved. Sometimes there may be actual punishments, quote unquote, where a student maybe have to be taken off a team if it's more than one time. We made people do a written apology that they didn't have to share publicly, but I had to receive it in my file. The parent had to call me directly, not just to stop by to tell me that they were handling the situation with their student. So it's just a matter of up to each individual studio owner how they want to find the courage to confront in a way that they do not experience as negative. I have to really work hard at, number one, the pain avoidance, not wanting to do it, and know that really what I'm trying very hard to do is to understand how I failed to have the cultural norms of our studio and the policies, rules, and regulations not be fully understood, and that everyone needs to know that they can count on me to provide a safe, healthy, happy environment for everyone to learn how to dance better and to enjoy being in the community. Taking care of negative drama, it's just like good hygiene with your body and a clean home for your family. It's like cleaning up the culture of our studios is how we love on our people and the work that we do. It's a beautiful way to think of it.
Thanks for being our special guest today, Kathy, on our Dance Studio 411 podcast. The topic is certainly timely all year round as dance studio owners and teachers. For those of you who want more information about this topic and to download a free training, a 3-part training called How to Turn Any Problem into Your Best Opportunity when it comes to situations at your dance studio, visit dancestudioowner.com/parent problems. So that's dancestudiooowner.com/parent problems. And you can get a free training, a video training with all sorts of good info to help you with any potential problem and how to help it, become some of your best opportunity for growth. We're here to help. That's why we created Dance Studio Owner, to help you keep your passion for dance alive. Until next time, go make it a great day, and we'll see you soon.
Thanks for listening to this episode of Dance Studio 411. Visit us online at dancestudio411.com for more great resources and to submit a question for a future episode. Our number one goal is to help you build a successful dance studio business and keep your passion for dance alive.